Namaste, it's time for another bicycle live stream, Saturday the 29th of August at 7:22 a.m. I've ridden 36 kilometres, it's 15.5 degrees. Let's get into it. This morning's topic is quite an unusual one. You may find this quite interesting. It's titled Neutralising Vegan Foods Karmic Cruelty. Now, it may not even make much sense. That title may not make much sense, so I'll need to sort of explain it as we go along. Veganism seeks to exclude as much as is practical and possible all use of and exploitation of animals for any use in food, clothing, entertainment, animal testing, etc. So, with that in mind, we know that already veganism is, a vegan is doing whatever they possibly can, as much as they are aware, as much as is practical and possible. They're doing what they can to remove cruelty by not supporting the use of animals in any form, not supporting the exploitation, the suffering, the cruelty, the slaughter, the commodification of animals in any form. However, there is still, in any food we eat, so we're talking about the use of animals for food now, and we're removing the use of animals in the food that we eat. However, in the vegan food we eat, there is still cruelty involved. Now you'll go, oh yes, okay, yes, yeah, I know what you're talking about. You're talking about the inadvertent by-kill, I think they call it, which is happening because of little rodents and whatever that might be accidentally caught in harvesters, harvesting machinery, etc. And yes, that is part of it. But what I'm talking about goes a bit deeper than that, because I'm going to come from a very unique perspective. Because not only have I been vegan for 40 years, but I've also followed a spiritual path of Bhakti Yoga for the last 28 years, which puts me in a rather unique position, with a rather unique perspective of seeing things from both the vegan perspective and the spiritual perspective and combining the two. Now, when I first started along my spiritual path, I didn't know any other vegans that were following the same spiritual path. And in fact, for the longest time, there was only a couple that I knew. And then over the last, definitely over the last 5 years, say, there has sprung up quite a number of people following the same spiritual path that I follow that have also become vegan. And when I ask them why, they say because we cannot support the animal cruelty. Now this is wonderful. This is fantastic, because the spiritual path I follow is traditionally people on that path are vegetarian, which means they're still supporting animal industries, because they're still supporting the dairy industry, which is the veal industry. So traditionally, whether they're aware of it or not, they are still supporting animal suffering, because there are 20 million male calves a year from the dairy industry worldwide sent to slaughter for veal. So if you're consuming dairy, that is what you are continuing to support. You are continuing to support the exploitation of the mother cows in repeated pregnancies, the artificial insemination, the the inherent cruelty in being confined for your entire life and then thrown away when you have no more use. In other words, the inherent cruelty of being commodified. So, okay, this is something that we know. But what I want to do here is combine a thing. I'll bring out a topic I'm calling karmic cruelty. And what it is that in everything we eat, there is a karma attached. Now, if we're eating animal products, it's fairly obvious that that's a very strong karma. It's a very big karma, and it comes back on us through many diseases that we get, heart attacks and all the other diseases that people get from consuming animal products, the different cancers and so forth. So it comes back and attacks us that way. So that's something we're well aware of. It also has a karmic repercussion because of the way the environment is destroyed, the pollution in the environment, and of course the suffering of the animals, which is creating a situation where we cannot have world peace when that suffering continues. So okay, we know this, and knowing this, we go, okay, I don't want to contribute to this suffering. I'm going to be vegan, and I'll be doing my best to not contribute to the suffering. But here is the rub, so to speak. There is still cruelty, other than the cruelty you're aware of, other than with vegan food, the cruelty you might be aware of with the little rodents being harvested and all that. There is a percentage of cruelty, and therefore a karma, because if we eat any living being, so if it's been a fruit, herb, vegetable, grain, anything that was living, growing, if it was growing, it was living, it had a life force. If that life force has been removed, there is a karma attached to that. Now, it's minimal. It's minimal for a vegan because it's on the scale, energetic scale, it's way down the bottom of the scale. However, it does still exist, and it is something we need to be aware of. So a lot of fruit and vegetables, we don't kill the plant when they're picked or harvested. The plant continues to grow. So in a situation like that, I'd consider that karma is so negligible to sort of not be even, worth thinking about. But in a situation where the plant is killed, then that's a living being that has been killed for us to sustain life. So we've taken the life of a living being for us to stay alive. Now, granted, what we've done is the least cruelty that we can do. We haven't taken the life of an animal, so we've done the least cruelty we can do. But there is, thank you for watching, Robert, there is a karma involved. Now, not many people are aware that we can neutralize this karma. And this is where my spiritual teachings come in. If you're familiar with the Bhagavad Gita, in the Bhagavad Gita there is a quote from Krishna that says that if one offers to me with love and devotion a leaf, a flower, a fruit or water, I will accept it. So what you are hearing here is the understanding that if we come from an intention of loving devotion towards the Supreme, we can offer vegan food, and in doing so, this food is actually neutralized karmically. Now, you might say, oh, this sounds really far-fetched or whatever, but there are millions and millions and millions of Hindus worldwide, Hare Krishnas, Vaishnavas, and other people following the same or similar path that are quite familiar with what I'm talking about, and who on a daily basis do this with every meal, with everything before they eat. They would do a simple prayer, basically. Now, in the Western world, the closest that we have to that is in the Christian tradition, where they say grace. And that's a giving thanks. you know, dear Lord, we'd like, what's it? We give thanks for the food that has been provided, something like that. It's sort of an arse-about way of doing it, because it's very sort of self-centered, and it's also usually, because it's in a Christian tradition, it's usually, you know, they're giving thanks for the meat, the animal products they're having. So, you know, I guess from an energetic, a karmic perspective, it's not neutralizing the karma at all. You cannot neutralize the karma of the suffering that comes from consuming animal products. It's just not energetically possible. However, you can negate or neutralize the karma, the very, very, very small amount of karma that comes from picking a fruit or a vegetable and taking the life force from it, by sincerely offering it first, before we consume it, offering it to the Supreme and saying, please accept my offering of food. It's that simple. Something I've been doing for 28 years. It's something that millions of people do daily, worldwide. Just because you may not have heard of it before, just because you may not be aware of it, does not mean it doesn't exist. It just means it hasn't come into your realm yet. So it is I guess a next level of responsibility, I guess you could say. And it's just taking accountability for our actions, and it's being on the path of Bhakti Yoga, the path of devotional service. It's being a responsible. Whoa, there's somebody I thought I knew, but I don't know if it is or not. Can't tell. The car looks the same. Can't tell if it was or not. Anyway, so it's taking responsibility for our actions. So there's a little something for you to think about, that we can neutralize vegan food's karmic cruelty by becoming a devotee on the path of devotional service to the Supreme and offering it to the Supreme first, in loving devotion, not in reluctance. This is a path of devotional service, not a path of, oh God, I've got to do this again, have I? Comes from the heart. It's a complete different energy. But it is something for you to think of and maybe think about. And as I say, just be aware, you cannot offer any animal products that have anything to do with the animal industries of cruelty and expect them to be accepted by the Supreme, because they will not be. So that's why Krishna says, one offers to me with love and devotion a leaf, a flower, fruit or water. You'll notice there's no mention there of any dairy products. There's no mention of any meat products. It's all cruelty-free. So we can make our food even more cruelty-free than it is. And in doing that, we're helping the planet, we're helping the living beings, we're helping ourselves as well. So, hope you have a great Saturday. Live vegan and save lives. Ahimsa.